Now, if I didn't know there were 16 episodes to Angels of Death, I would actually think episode 15 was the conclusion, especially with how the ending does this kind of like music video montage of all the kind of antagonists slash villains that we focused on. Very interesting choice, so I'm interested to see how episode 16 will function, if it's an actual episode, if it's backstory, whatever they're gonna do. But I do have to say that it was kind of poetic having Gray kind of walk through the building that was being destroyed. I thought he was the one who set it off, just with how he was kind of smiling, not freaked out. It almost felt like he was the one behind it, and then how he actually ended up being the reason Zach and Rachel have a chance to live after he shoots Danny with a crossbow. That was a very interesting choice. I quite like that a lot, and I think it makes sense for Gray because he's very much pretty forward with his thinking, saying like, if you're too self-serving, he's not going to like you, and that's ultimately what Danny was at the end of the episode. But overall, though, I have to say, if this had to be the ending, I actually would be okay with it. I mean, because both Rachel and Zach are so questionable, you don't truly know how to feel about them one way or the other, but since we do have one episode left, I do expect we will have some sort of ending, but I don't see both of these characters making it out alive, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, overall, this episode of Angels of Death I found to be pretty fun. Now, there definitely are moments where you have to suspend your sense of disbelief, like how Zach can cut through the metal like paper mache, how he can slash through rocks, how Rachel can lose so much blood despite being such a young girl she should have died, probably after a couple of those bullets there. But I mean, if you made it to episode 15, you probably have already started to accept that some things aren't going to make sense if we apply it to reality's rules. But the episode and how it was, for the most part, them just kind of climbing up a set of stairs and then being stuck in a room with Danny at gunpoint, I thought it was actually pretty good because it really just highlights how the two's relationship has grown and they've bonded over this. Like, I mean, Zach, we know, is scared of fire, and how they detailed his fear of fire I thought was really well done, because you can understand why he wouldn't want to die there and how Rachel is just trying to comfort him, but then he picks himself back up because he doesn't want to feel like he's being helped by Rachel when he should be helping Rachel, is how he views it. Like, the two's relationship is definitely the star of this anime, and I think how they handled that scene where they are climbing the staircase, how they are getting through these obstacles, and once they do reach up top and Danny shoots Rachel, it's pretty shocking and it's a little emotional because, or at least for me personally, I didn't know how that should go. Like, should both of them die there? Should both of them get a second chance? I didn't truly know, and I was very just excited to see how that scene would play out and how they were kind of bantering, and how Rachel was so almost terrified of dying, because it's not about her just wanting to die anymore. It's about she wants to die if that's what Zach wants. And I think, like, it's clear both of them would rather just both live a peaceful life, but they just have this weird suicide pact in a lot of ways, and I thought it was very nice seeing just how, honestly, there was a couple of shots that were just goddamn beautiful and pretty sad, like with Rachel breaking down on the floor after she got shot. Like, there were scenes in this episode that really made me question how it should go, and not many anime can do that, because a lot of times they try to make you feel one way for their character. This is a bad character, this is a good character, but both Rachel and Zach, they're so questionable and you don't truly know what the outcome should be, and that's why I think an open-ended fashion for a show like this would actually benefit it, because I don't know if there is a defined way this should end, but we'll have to wait and see however they go about it. But it was very nice seeing how they directed it, I have to say. Like, I mean, just the idea that you can make an episode where half of it is them just climbing a seemingly endless staircase, then you have one room where you're being kind of held at gunpoint. How they were able to basically make me interested in two very plain and boring scenes is something I don't see happen too often, but Angels of Death directing has always been top-notch quality, and I think the way they were detailing the tears and the fire and all the emotional elements just kind of make us come to understand everything that's happened over these 15 episodes. The fears of the characters, the bond and friendship that they've built together, but also the hope of leaving for a better tomorrow, but still keeping that promise intact. And even if they can't kind of finish the promise, it still meant something because they made it together. I just find this show just so fascinating. Like, it's not going to be my top pick of the year, but it's something that's so fun to watch, and I do like how the final stretch of this anime really is fleshing out the characters like Rachel, Zach, Gray, and Danny, and you kind of understand their kind of weird bonding mechanics. And Gray is such a weird character because you don't truly know how to feel about him, and I think he really is just in his own world and just making his own laws. You never truly know if he's gonna lend you a helping hand or if he's gonna shoot you with a crossbow, and I think that's what makes this show so fun, is the characters are usually pretty questionable. Some are just absolutely psychotic like Kathy, and even Eddie to a certain degree, but there's so many characters in this show that I truly don't know how to feel about. And that's why anything could happen to these characters and I could probably walk out of Angels of Death being like, that's a satisfying ending. Be it life, death, open-ended fashion, whatever they choose, it would be fine. But the music in this episode, once again, was really good. I think just how they're using music to kind of invoke this sense of hope as they were climbing those stairs, even the sense of dread when it needed to be played. the music, if the music was the quality that we had in this episode, even last week's episode, over the entire run, this OST would have been phenomenal, but it is just an okay OST because only a couple of episodes truly stick out as being absolutely incredible. But overall, this episode, I'll be interested to see the reaction, because I do expect there's going to be a lot of people saying, like, is this the ending? Is there another episode? What's with the weird montage after the credits? But we'll have to wait and see whatever the final episode does, because I really don't know what they want to do, how much more content there's left to adapt, if any, if they're doing some anime original stuff. I'll be interested to see what they do, but overall I have to say I do like how they really highlighted everything that we've come to know and kind of grow with these characters, the fears, the kind of bond that they have, and the hope of a better tomorrow in their own kind of sick and twisted way, and how they reinforced everything that we kind of feel for these characters with that final speech where Rachel is about to die and Zach's carrying her off. Like, there was a lot to really enjoy with this episode. There's definitely some weird choices made, like the fact that it did direct it to feel like the final episode despite them having another episode, so I don't know, I've just got to see a preview for next week's episode to try to get a better understanding of what's going to happen, but let me know whatever you thought of this episode. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite moment? What do you think next week is going to do in terms of its final episode? Let me know whatever you're feeling, and be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.